Coming up on this edition of Pinpoint Weather University, we're looking at the 2025 climate report and also talking about if the Paris Climate Agreement is in jeopardy. We'll review that. Plus, the Discovery Place has a new winter exhibit. That's right, we haven't seen a lot of snow here lately in the Carolinas, especially Charlotte. We'll talk about where you can see some of the finest snowflakes and also look at some other cool features in the winter season and maybe even skate around a little bit with the kids. Details of that coming up in this edition of Pinpoint Weather University.
Pinpoint Weather University, sponsored by Gaston Roofing.
Welcome into Pinpoint Weather University, my friends. I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson here on Queen City News Plus. Always a big welcome to our YouTube viewers as well. And this is a fun episode. I want to give a shout out to Kevin Pinto. He is the one that really helped me out with a lot of shoots in this episode that you're about to see here when it comes down to the shoot at Discovery Place we did, viewing their cool new winter exhibit. You're going to love that. It's called the Snow Days exhibit. I think you'll have a lot of fun with that. And we haven't seen a lot of snow days here in Charlotte recently, so you're going to love that. We're going to talk more about the climate report, but again, did want to give a shout out to my boy Kevin Pinto. And head on over to his podcast as well. Check him out, man. He's on the Tired Parents Club here on Queen City News Plus. So if you're a tired parent, you can go to that show and relate a little bit. A lot of cool stuff on there. Go check him out, Kevin Pinto, the Tired Parents Club, and see our link for as well. So that's a good opportunity to get over there and relate to as a parent if you're tired. So let's talk about this episode of Pinpoint Weather University. Again, we talked about what we have coming up, so let's get right into it. First, we'll talk about 2025. It is now being deemed the third warmest year on record across the globe. So I think the title works perfectly here. Earth is sweating. It continues to warm, so we've got another top 3 year on record. And all of this is putting the Paris Climate Agreement in jeopardy. Definitely a concern. We're going to talk about that coming up here in just a second. But first, I want to talk about the alarming warming trend that we're seeing here. So we're seeing more record greenhouse gas concentrations, which obviously continues to help the earth warm. The big reason why is because those greenhouse gases, they trap heat in on earth. The heat can get through, but it has a hard time getting out with those greenhouse gases surrounding our earth. Plus, sea ice and glaciers continue to retreat at a very concerning rate. And that extreme weather is also increasing. Coming up later this month on Pinpoint Weather University, we're going to be talking about the billion-dollar disasters we saw last year in 2025. Now, 2025 had no landfalling hurricanes. We did have a tropical system make landfall in North Carolina, Tropical Storm Chantal, around July 4th weekend. But we didn't have any actual Category 1 to 5 storms make landfall, and we still ended up in, I believe, the top 3 for billion-dollar disasters last year. So we'll be talking more about that. But again, all of this goes to show that the Paris Climate Agreement, that which was made just over 10 years ago in 2015, is now in grave danger. Now, the Paris Climate Agreement, it was made to limit temperature rise. This is an obvious goal, right? We're trying to decrease the warming trend that we're seeing here on Earth. Now, how did the countries want to do that? Well, we're going to try and achieve net zero emissions. So there's different goals for this. I believe Google is trying to do this by 2030, Amazon trying to do it by 2040, and then big corporations like Duke Energy that we have here in the Carolinas are trying to do this by 2050. And net zero emissions means no release of greenhouse gases. And a lot of big corporations and companies are trying to do that, just doing them at different rates and at their pace. Now, the big goal with this is to keep the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. So what that means is we want to keep we know we're going to see warming, right? We know the earth is going to have some sort of warming with the way the industrial build of the world is happening. However, we want to keep that warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius or less above where we should be, above those pre-industrial levels. So again, Google by 2030, that's what they're trying to be, net zero carbon emissions. Amazon 2040, Duke Energy 2050. Those are just a few companies I named, but you can see their goals are within the next at least 20 or 30 years. So we're trying to get those goals done as companies and as a nation to continue to drop this temperature rise and at least continue to not contribute as much to the global warming that we've been seeing here on Earth. Now, unfortunately, here in the U.S., we did come out of the Paris Climate Agreement under the Trump administration last year, but companies are still doing that work, trying to get those net zero carbon emissions. So let's talk about the now ranks when you look at the warmest years on record. So 2024 was the warmest year on record. So really, if you think just back to last year, 2024, we had number 1, number 2, 2023, number 3, 2025. So just looking at that top 3, the biggest thing that concerns me out of that top 3 globally is that our last 3 years have been our warmest 3 years ever in history. So we are getting warmer now. We just continue to warm up. So that's a big concern for me. Now, when you look at this total top 10 list in scope, I'm not going to go through and count every single year for you. There's another alarming trend here. Our last 10 years are essentially our warmest years on record. So we just continue to pow on top 10 year of warmth after top 10 year of warmth. So what does it look like on a chart? Thank you to our friends Climate Central, nonprofit group. They continue to study our Earth's changing temperature and everything that evolves around it. And this is a chart from them taking it full screen for you that shows the global temperature and is basically looking at the global temperature above those pre-industrial levels. So 1.5 degrees Celsius, that's what we're trying to stay under, right? We're trying to stay under that 1.5 degrees Celsius range of warmth above where we should be. And unfortunately, in 2024, for the first time since the Paris Climate Agreement was initiated, and the first time ever, we went over that 1.5 degrees Celsius goal. This year, we didn't do that. I think we were like this previous year, 2025, I think we were at 1.3 degrees Celsius, but still probably closer than where we want to be, but at least it's under that goal. So if you're looking at the first part of this chart from 1850 to 1937 or so, notice how we're above average, below average, above average, below average. And then right around 1950, we start shooting up, right? So we have those above average years for about 20 or 30 years. And then as you get to about 1980, 1990, when you start to get to more of that industrial build of Earth, look at how quickly that temperature has risen over the last 20, 30 years. We are just continuing to get warmer and warmer each year. And all that has to do with those record greenhouse gas emissions. So this next chart is showing you the 10 hottest global years on record. And you're looking essentially the years I just listed out on that list for you recently. And you're just looking at it a different way. It kind of helps show you that 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming. So we have been over the last 10 years, looking at this list here, 2018, 2022, 2015. So we're looking at basically since 2015, we've got 1 degree Celsius or more above the average temperature there. So we are above that 1850 to 1900 pre-industrial average, which is not good. That's real bad news. And it's scary. It's a scary trend. You know, we can look at the video of the glaciers melting and keep continuing to retreat. We can look at the videos of the coastal areas that continue to get inundated because of just how much warming we continue to see. We can look at the destructive hurricanes that continue to form each hurricane season. We can look at all that stuff, but when you really sit down, look at these charts, look at the data, you can see just how alarming this trend is, and you can see just how real this climate change has absolutely become, especially over the last 20 years or so. It's always been real, but now it's turning into more of an imminent issue. And I do think that the Paris Climate Agreement is going to take a significant fall from this if we don't figure out a way to not only speed up the process in our goals of diminishing greenhouse gas releases, but it's also going to hurt the Paris Climate Agreement if we all can't come together as countries and as a world and do this together. You know, here in Charlotte, we actually just had a pretty cool goal here where we had no smog days. First time ever, no smog days in Charlotte last year. Now, there were some contributing factors. We didn't have as much Canadian wildfire smoke last year, like we've had over the last few years, or less fireworks. There's some things that helped with that, but we have overcome a lot when it comes down to no smog days. There's been some regulations that have had to be put in. Now, officials in Charlotte have told us here at Queen City News that they are a little bit concerned about new regulations that could be coming in, which could prevent them from having zero smog days in the future. But it's something we'll continue to look for. But you can't just do it here in Charlotte. You got to do it everywhere. You know, Atlanta and other bigger cities like that. As you're getting across the world in China and other different areas where you tend to have a lot of smog, you're still going to add to an already warming Earth. So it has to be done together. You have to have conversations about it. You have to talk to people about it. You have to try to figure out a way to get involved, whether it's planting a garden or maybe just, I don't know, if you're getting solar panels on your house or if you want to get an EV car, different things like that. It has to be a contributing factor. But just again, a small contributing factor like gardening could be one way to do that. I also wanted to show you how Charlotte is doing when it comes down to warmest years on record. This is a look at the top 10. First, really tied for first, is 2024 and 1990, 64 degrees for an average temperature for the year. And if you're looking for 2025, you actually got to go to the right side of the column, which is not great, but it's not terrible. 2025 was the 7th warmest year on record in Charlotte. Now, again, we know we're going to see warming. It's just the way the Earth is built now with all the industrial environments that we have, more cars on the roads, different things like that. We're going to have warming. We don't want it to be in the top 10 per se, but 7th is better than what we've done over the last couple of years. We had the 3rd warmest year on record in 2023. We had the warmest year on record in Charlotte in 2024, time with 1990. And we had the 7th warmest this past year in 2025. Now, when you look at 2017, when you look at 2020, 2016, 2019, they're also in the top 10. So just to point out, over this last decade or so, we are compiling more of these 2010s and 2020s in the top 10 list. And I do believe this is going to continue to be a trend as well and something we're going to have to watch. So the warmest day for the year in 2025 was July 27th. We had 102 degrees. The coldest was 16 degrees on December 15th, right before our record-breaking Christmas week of warmth. And then the rainiest day, August 5th, snowiest, about half an inch. And those last two on the chart, the rainiest and snowiest, we're going to be talking about that here in the next couple of segments here on Pinpoint Weather University. So the reason why we haven't seen a lot of rain here lately, we'll talk about the drought conditions that continue to build, and if that's a big concern during the winter season. Plus, the snowiest day we had last year, January 10th, we broke that snowfall drought of almost 3 years. But unfortunately, there's another big drought forming, not just when it comes down to water, but also in snow. It's the 1 inch or more snowfall drought. We'll talk about what that counter is up to now and if snow could be on the horizon for January. It's coming up next on Pinpoint Weather University, as well as a look at the Snow Days exhibit at Discovery Place. I'll leave you a video of that as we go to break. Welcome back into Pinpoint Weather University. You're getting a full screen look at the drought monitor here across the Queen City News viewing area here in the Carolinas. And it's not good. This is released by United States Geological Survey. Every Thursday release a new outlook when it comes down to drought. And this hasn't been good for us. Not good at all. We've got a level 3 out of 5 drought along and east of I-77, which a level 3 out of 5 drought is considered a severe drought from the USGS, United States Geological Survey. The friends there, they usually sample really through about Tuesday, and then they release it every Thursday. And unfortunately, I don't think this drought's going to get better anytime soon in the foreseeable future. Now, it's not just us that are dealing with this here in the Carolinas. Zooming this out, look across the southeast, the deep south. You're seeing a lot of browns, darker oranges, even some reds, which is more of an extreme drought. That's when it gets very significant. I've seen some what used to be ponds and lakes in Florida just swelling up, just non-existent anymore. That's how serious it's getting for our friends down towards the Florida region, and as you're getting towards some of those warmer climates in the southeast. Now, for us, I'm not saying it's not a major deal right now. It's a big deal in scope when you're looking at fire danger here in the Carolinas. That will continue to be high, but it's mainly high on warm days, windy days and when you have a lot of dry air, that can contribute more to these fires because you've got drier soil as well. So that's going to be a concern, I think, over the winter months when fire danger would tend to be a little bit on the lower side because it's colder. Unfortunately, it just takes one warm day, one windy day, and with the dry soil we have, we can accelerate fires around here in the Carolinas. So that's something we'll have to pay attention to. But during the winter season, we're not necessarily using as much water, and everything's already dead vegetation wise. So you don't really notice these hefty droughts as much during the winter season. However, if this continues through February and into the spring months, that's when we got big time problems. That's when this could become a serious issue. You're backing up the agricultural growth. The crops are going to be struggling to grow. Could really hurt farmers in the foreseeable future as we get more closer to spring. So that's something we'll have to watch over the next month. If we don't get good rains here soon, this could become a more serious issue. Now, one thing with this is we could see some snow in the foreseeable future when it comes down to the second half of January. We haven't seen a whole lot of snow here recently in the Charlotte area, but it's something we'll be watching here over the next couple of weeks due to the colder air. But we really need rain, like 7 to 9 inches of rain. We're behind quite a bit in Charlotte. This has been a drought that's been mounting for about 5 months now. We had that big flood around the Charlotte area, the Greenways, on August 5th. We were just talking about that being the rainiest day of last year. And ever since then, we've been bone dry. Now, it's not just the rain we've been dry from, the snow as well. We've seen flakes flying around Charlotte, but guys, it's been 1,479 days as we're recording this on Wednesday, January 14th, since we've had 1 inch or more of snow in Charlotte. Yes, you've got that right. It's been that long. Pretty much, you're looking at, 3-4 years of no 1 inch snow days in Charlotte? That's brutal. But where you could get some snow days, head on over to the Discovery Place. We're actually going to go to the Discovery Place next here on Pinpoint Weather University. They've got a new snow days exhibit at the Discovery Place. You can see some really cool snowflakes there. The kiddos can make snowflakes. There's also really cool wilderness in there, showing you how some of the wilderness stays warm during the coldest months of the year. Plus, Kevin Pinto, my photojournalist and friend, and I were able to skate in this exhibit. And guess what, guys? Don't need skates to do it. We'll talk about how you can skate around and have a good time at Discovery Place with their new Snow Days exhibit and talk about just how long it's going to be open. We're heading there next. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Pinpoint Weather University. I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson here at Fiona Hufford with the Discovery Place, and we're in a pretty cool area. You know, winter's been hard to come by here in the Carolinas, especially in the Charlotte area. We haven't seen a lot of snow here recently. Even though there's a lot of chatter about it, we might see some snow over the next couple weeks, some things we're looking at, but there's a cool place you can come, and it's at the Discovery Place. We're at the snow exhibit, and Fiona, talk to me about where we are and what this cool, impressive exhibit you guys have created for the winter. What is this all about?
Yeah, so we had an idea and we were like, how do we make snow in a more enjoyable process and a story, while also emphasizing the science and the art behind snow and the science of snow. So we all got together in all the departments of Discovery Place and we said, let's make a snow exhibit. And so all around us, we have different themes going on about snow, not just, what is snow? Oh, it's cold, but also like the culture behind people that live in snow, like our indigenous cultures, as well as our emphasizing some of the collections that we have. So we really wanted to tie together a big story while also, of course, talking about the science.
Talk about some of those themes you guys have in here.
Yeah, so like I said, we have our collections. We are very fortunate that we have a great collections community here at the museum. So we have a couple on display where you can see animals that are in these kind of Arctic cold areas, as well as some of the cultures that are linked to snow. Because people live in different environments, and we're very happy in Charlotte with our not so snow, but a lot of people really enjoy the snow and they live up there in the snow. So there's that. And then we also have some building hands-on kind of activities interactive display of building an igloo. So you can kind of work together with a team and build a structure and even go inside. It's a fun time. And then we also are talking about, we all like the winter time for its warm coziness. It gives it a lot of nostalgia. So we also kind of bank on those two themes as well, where we have something called hygge, which is a Danish word for the vibe and the feel of warmth and nostalgia, which we kind of hit on that as well with our kind of movie, rotating traditional winter theme movies that you might see during this time of the year, as well as that comfort by the fireplace, reading a nice book kind of thing.
You guys have some sock skating in here as well. Talk about that. That has to be a lot of fun for the kids.
So obviously we couldn't have a full ice rink and that was not in the budget, but we wanted to have something that was familiar and similar. So a lot of, in the South, we don't have a lot of ice and we want you to be safe on the ice. So we thought, what's another way of doing that? And your socks and a very slippery kind of plastic flooring kind of gives that same effect of zero friction skating area. So you could just take off your shoes and skate on the skating rink, and it's kind of similar to ice skating without the blades.
So hey, I mean, you get in there, you're sliding around, having a good time. Have you guys seen the kids and take a really, I was gonna say, they really enjoy it.
We like to see what the shapes they form. They all like to go in the same pattern sometimes. Of course, they like to play games in there, but even the adults, the kids love it, but adults are like, oh, I've never done this before. Or a lot of people say it reminds them of when they had their socks at their kids' homes or when they were a kid on hardboards. Yeah.
So does it leave a trace? Like, does it leave a trace of, like, because you were saying the different shapes?
No, I'm just meaning like they like to follow patterns.
Follow different shapes.
Like at a real ice skating ring, everybody goes clockwise or counterclockwise depending on where you are. It's the same thing here. It's just a fun human phenomenon.
And then have you seen them take, a lot of effort into the igloo as well?
Of course, they like to work together for it. It's a fun collaboration time. A lot of people don't like to talk to other people. I am one of those people. So we go over there and we help them build their igloo. And it's a teamwork. You can't do it on your own. You kind of need the help to get it up. So.
And then how long are you guys going to have the snow exhibit open? I mean, I know winter goes through February. How long do you guys think you'll have the snow exhibit available?
This exhibit will be open until through February 1st.
Gotcha. Good deal. And then last question for me. We've got the cool projections here. You've got all the different animals there. You've got the igloo. You've got the sock skating. What is your favorite part about the exhibit?
It's actually something that I forgot to talk about. It's the snowflakes. So we are very fortunate to have worked with an RIT professor. A former RIT professor, he is retired, where he does snowflake photography, and he captures snowflakes onto his little microscope camera, and he takes high definition pictures of snowflakes, and I like to call them time capsules because every snowflake is going to be different based on the atmosphere that they form through, the winds that blew them around, what all the conditions go into it, and they finally make it down to where we are. And even if you take two snowflakes at the same time, they're going to be completely different. So that's my favorite. I'm a little biased because I'm from RIT. So.
Some of the science on those snowflakes as well.
Yes. So I really enjoy that. We also have we're very thankful that we have like our own version of an ice core. And a lot of people can hear that word, but they've never seen one.
Right.
And it's our version of talking about how we can capture time through ice and how different compaction or different climate during that time when that ice formed, you can really see it in the bubbles and the micro differences. So I really like that.
One thing I always find it like kind of incredible. A lot of folks don't know that all precipitation starts as snow.
Yes.
It all has to go through a process. When the snow's coming down, it's either melting in the rain or it's changing into a different phase, whether it's freezing rain that we really don't like to see too much of. But, the snowflakes and the different shapes we get from them, it creates a beautiful picture, and there's a lot of cool photography in here from that. And then I guess I had one more. That wasn't my last question. Now I got one more for you. When it comes down to that photography, what is your favorite type of snow? Are you one that likes the 10-inch snow where it's out there for days? I know you're from up north. Or do you like kind of a small snow, just a little bit, or are you just not a big fan of it at all?
I like it when it can be here for a couple days and then it can slowly go away. I, you know, I'm from Raleigh, but so I've had my ice closures, but being up north for school, it was a good change of pace where it was like they kind of encourage snow being in your life. So I don't know, I'm neutral about it.
Yeah, I'm like, I kind of like to have the snow once or maybe twice in the season, sticks around for a couple days, and there's a few chances for that over the next couple weeks. You know, we've got a few systems that will be rolling through, the cold air is in place. Just got to get the right system. But you can always come out to the zoo exhibit here at Discovery Place. Look, this is a really cool environment. You guys have a lot of different things in here. You've been seeing some of the video during this interview of the different things that not only you as adults can get involved in, but even your kids as well. It's a good place to bring them during the winter season, especially Fiona, since we haven't had a lot of snow or winter to enjoy outside. So with Fiona Hufford here at Discovery Place, I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson. That's going to do it for this edition of Pinpoint Weather University. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.